You ever thought about buying Walmart knives for your bushcraft or your wilderness survival gear? Well, we're going to take a look at 3 of them and see how they do, so stick around. Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. So recently I've been doing some videos on Walmart stuff and Amazon stuff, and you can go back and check those all out. But one thing that I've noticed recently in Walmart is that there seems to be a lot more knives available. Of course, Walmart has always had kind of a knife counter over by the guns and the ammo when they used to sell more guns. And those were all the the big name brand knives like Gerber and Buck. But if you go into the camping section, there is a few different knives that are the private label Ozark Trail brand knives. And I kind of wondered, what they would be like. How are they? Because they're very cheap. And we're going to take a look at 3 of them. These are 3 knives that I've picked up that I want to test out a little bit and just kind of talk about features and if they're good or not. It's going to be a very limited test, but we're going to at least jump into it a little bit and see what these things are like. So, first knife that I wanted to talk about is this little fixed blade knife that Walmart is selling. This thing is super cheap. I think it was like $5 or $6. It was over on the counter in kind of a round rack, a spinning rack. For that money, I thought, well, I'm going to try it, pick it up, and I was kind of pleasantly surprised. I've had this strapped to the shoulder strap of my Walmart pack that I had in my last video, and it's actually a pretty comfortable little knife, and the edge on it is not that bad out of the box. I have not sharpened it, haven't done anything to it. I've made a couple feather sticks with it, cut a few things, but that's about it. And I was pleasantly surprised about how well it did. Now, the steel on it, I have no idea. It's probably just some cheap or weird stainless steel mix that they do in China. But the edge was decent, and the handle is kind of a rubberized plastic material, and it's got finger grooves, and it's very comfortable, even for my hands, which are a little bit larger than some guys, but it's actually pretty comfortable. And it's got kind of notches in the thumb ramp, so you can put your thumb and get some grip on it. But overall, just ergonomics, it's pretty nice. So that's that one. Second knife is this one, and I think this is in the camping section. It comes individually, you can buy this individually, and I think it comes with a fire steel. But you can also buy this in a kit, and the kit comes with like a hatchet and a machete. I'm not going to review those. I know somebody who has those, and this is his knife. I borrowed this from him, but I wanted to just stick to knives. And I thought this was a very interesting knife. It's pretty decent length. It has the thumb ramp on it. It has a little bit of a choil to protect your guard to protect your fingers so your hand doesn't slip. It does have serrations, which some people don't like, but it has a pretty decent edge. Once again, don't know what the steel is. And then it has this paracord wrapped handle, which is kind of loose a little bit. Probably what I would do is, if I was to get this, I would either take it apart and retie it, or soak it and then let it dry and tighten it as it's drying, and that will lock it in a little bit. So before it's completely dry, you tighten it up, but it probably just needs to be rewrapped and maybe a couple more knots added to it, and it'll probably be fine. But at least it's got a nice, decent, comfortable handle. Now the Ozark trail knife comes with a pretty crappy little nylon sheath. It's got a belt loop sewn into it, a Velcro tab to hold it in, and then it's a plastic liner. It's not the greatest sheath in the world, that's for sure. The little fixed blade has a much better molded sheath with that clip. But you know, it holds it. All these sheaths that these knives come with do what they're supposed to do, and that's hold them. So I dig that. And then the last knife I picked up, I actually got this in the fishing section. And when I saw this, I thought, wow, this is going to be kind of a Mora clone. And it was like $2 or $3. But it was all zip tied together, so I couldn't take the knife out to examine it. It's like, oh, well, it's $3. I'll go ahead and take a chance. So I thought it was going to be a really cool Scandi, Mora style knife. Well, to my surprise, it's not Scandi at all. It's just a traditional, saber type grind. It looks like a Scandi. It kind of fakes it. And it looks a lot like a Mora Companion. It has that nice rubber grip. We'll test that out as well. I don't have high hopes because it's not terribly sharp. It's a little bit sharp towards the tip, but as you go back, it gets pretty, I don't know, I would consider that dull. It's probably fine by most people's standards, but not by mine. So these are the 3 knives we are going to check out. And what I want to do is just kind of do some light wood processing with them and just see how they do, like with feather sticks, and maybe do some batoning, something like that. And just kind of see if they are worth the money that they are, and if they're worth a consideration of throwing in your survival or your wilderness survival kit. Now I've got this seasoned piece of wood. I'm not sure what it is. I've got this kind of a wood pile alongside the barn here. I think what we'll do is, since we've got the bigger knife, we'll go ahead and see if we can baton that down. Don't know if this baton is going to be big enough. So you really don't want to do it on the serrations. I would do it more towards that, where there is flat. I don't know if I got a heavy enough baton to do this. So I got it started. It's doing all right. So back and forth, right? You back up here a little bit. Make sure you get all this. So there's that. Did pretty well. The finish held up all right. Not bad. There's a few marks on it, but nothing horrible. Then we got the little knife. Give it a good whack, get it started. Don't have much on the back end without hitting my knuckles, so I gotta be careful. Like I say, this is light wood processing. This would be more in the lines of, this isn't a backup kit, a survival kit in your pack. You're not carrying a lot of big stuff with you because maybe you're just out on a day hike or whatever, and then now you get into a situation where you want to start a fire. So you find some sticks and stuff that's small that you can bust down and get to that dry wood in the center, because that's the reason why we baton. So those 2 knives, you'd be able to do that. So let's take the Mora Wannabe, see if we can do anything with that. Mora Wannabe. You know, and really, it's when you're batoning, it's a wedge, is what it's doing. It's not necessarily cutting, it's splitting. And you know, most knives will be able to do that. The issue with batoning is, will the knife be able to handle that long term? Will the blade separate from the handle with use? Usually you want a full tang knife to do that. You're going to be able to do that with this one. You're going to be able to do it with this one. These are full tang all the way. This, not so much. I would imagine this will break down after time, so I probably wouldn't do a lot of batoning with it. But then we come to the test of why I carry fixed blade knives with wood to do wood processing, and that is shavings. And it's doing real small, thin shavings. Not bad. Strokes. It's not cutting into the wood. It's not really biting into it as much as I would like it to. It's kind of just skimming the top, but it's not doing bad. If you spent your time with this, you could get a decent bit of shavings with it. There it is. What do you think about that? So that's this one. What I would probably do is I would probably spend some time sharpening this, and I think if you got this sharpened, you would have a decent little backup knife to throw in your bag. I got the little boot style knife. You know, for this task, it's not as comfortable as that Mora style. It has a nice comfortable handle. And that's because it's a bigger handle. This is a smaller handle. But those are some decent curls. Much bigger blade. So the question is, do I want to use the serrations? The serrations are only on one side. I just kind of noticed that. Backside, they are not. So you could do it with serrations. And sometimes serrations actually do a decent job. And that was on the bark side. It had a little bit of bark on that edge. The serrations did fine. So now let's test up towards the tip where there is a little more knife. And that is peeling very nicely. Not grabbing as deep as the little fixed blade. I suspect that has to do with edge. It needs to be sharpened a little bit more. Not bad. See if I can do it on this edge right here. Yeah, it's not as grabbing as much. Let's see. And that's one thing, it's kind of, I don't know, kind of a myth. You know, people like, oh, I hate serrations on my knife. And generally I do too. I don't really care for them. You know, they're designed, serrations really designed to cut through rope, cordage. Of course, serrations do incredibly well with meat. But the fact is, they actually make decent curls and shavings. So if you have a pocket knife that has serrations and you need to process some wood, you can actually do it. So of course with Firecraft, a good rule of thumb that I've learned is that you really want a hat full of shavings to start a fire. That's like a good overproduction of material, and that will ensure catching a fire, especially if you're using a ferro rod to get that spark going. Now, none of these knives have sharpened spines. You could put a sharpened spine on these pretty easily with a grinding wheel or a stone or something. There's different methods of doing that. But, you know, I think for what these cost, this is a $3 knife, this is like a $9, $10 knife, this is a $5 knife. These aren't bad. If I really had to pick one, it's going to be this one. This is going to be my backup. I'm going to sharpen the heck out of it. I'm going to sharpen the spine. I'm going to throw this into a survival kit, and I'm going to forget about it, and that's going to be my backup. That's when things get really ugly. I can pull this out, and I can do something with it. This, it's doable. It needs more work. It needs the spine sharpened because it is a decent thin profile. Sharpening, like I said, you got to work with the serrations and know how to use those. And of course, the paracord handle needs work. It needs to be tightened so it is more comfortable and stays on. This I would relegate to your fishing kit and just let it be that. Sharpen it. Knife. There's always good to have backups sometimes in certain situations, especially if you're out long term. Into a wilderness environment where you really don't have a chance to resupply or hitting a store. So having a backup knife can be the way to go. But you know, if you're going to spend the money, spend a few extra dollars and just get a Mora. I mean, Moras are super cheap and they're great knives. So I would not recommend this one at all. This guy, not bad. This guy, I love. So that's my brief review of these Walmart knives. There are others. Like I said, there's a lot of name brand knives. There are a few in the camping section that aren't Ozark Trail that are Camillus. Now that's not Camillus USA, of course. They're not making those knives in the USA anymore. But I did a review of the Carnivore X, which is a big chopping blade that they've been carrying for years. It's come out in different iterations. And check out that video because it's an awesome survival bushcraft chopping blade. I love it. I still have mine, still use on an occasion. But for smaller knives, this little $5 fixed blade with a pretty decent sheath is my pick. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. It was just a real brief, quick kind of rundown of these 3 budget knives from Walmart. If you like this kind of content, please consider subscribing if you aren't already. If you do, hit that bell icon to make sure you're being notified of new videos. I try to release 1 video a week. Check out the affiliate links below. There's a Facebook group, there's my Amazon store, and I sell Prepared Wanderer patches and stickers in my Big Cartel site. All the links are down below. And as always, thank you for watching The Prepared Wanderer. We will see you next time. Take care.